Good night, everyone. How are you? I pray that all is well with you and with yours. I'm well. God is keeping me and mine. I would like to share a dream that I had on Wednesday morning that woke me up. That was very intense. I dreamed as though I was on HMBS Bahamas, a ship, and the ship was, I guess, flying, sailing the same time, if it makes any sense. But that's what it was doing. And it was going at a speed that I knew that if we continued, we would find ourselves in problems. So I looked at the commanding officer. I said, "Sir, you have to slow the ship down." I said, because if you look ahead, because just ahead of us was the main mast, where the flags flew, and some persons were standing in the front of it. And I said, if you don't slow down, we're going to crash into those persons and the main mast. The objective was we were supposed to go around it, but the speed in which we were going, I knew that we would be in problems. So while I was trying to speak with him, um, I was trying to slow the ship down. And when he understood what I was saying, he tried to slow the ship down. But because we were like too close to the main mast, it was almost too late. And so he pulled down the brakes on the ship, but it caused the ship to go straight through the floor to the ground. And when it hit the ground, it went through it was like a road. I could see the tar, but at the same time it going straight through the water. Water was beneath the tar. And because of the impact, I could hear the CEO saying, "Abandon ship, abandon ship." So some of us were able to come off the ship. And as we stood off the ship, we could see it was like not just myself, it was like a lot of persons from around the world were just watching the ship in disbelief. Like what happened to the ship was almost a phenomenon. It was like, oh my God, like what happened? Like the world, I could hear a lot of chatter. Everybody's trying to figure out and try to explain like what happened, and this. It was a lot of chatter. And as I stood and I looked at the ship as it was submerged into the water, I still could see that's like a portion of the ship sticking from the water, but everything was underwater, and the bow was facing me. And I looked, and as the chatter went on, trying to figure and understand. And then I heard the voice of God says, "The ship represents the Bahamas." He said, "Look at the name." He said, "It represents the Bahamas." And he said, "The Bahamas will sink." And then I said to the people, I said, "God is speaking." I said, "God is speaking." I said, "The Bahamas is going to sink." And when I said that, these two white guys who heard me, they looked at me in shock. One of them said, "How did you know that?" I've been trying to say that. He was like almost relieved that somebody else saw what he saw. But these two men, they were not of our time, like they were from the past. Because one of them said, I said this in 1916 or 1918, as though it was a prediction many years ago on what was going to happen to the Bahamas and that the Bahamas would sink. And he asked me, he said, "What is your name?" And I gave him my name. I said my name. And the other guy, he was there, and they were like, "How did I know?" And they needed to know, how did I know? And what else I knew. And so one of them said, "We have to talk." He said, "I need to find out what else you know." It's like, who revealed this to you? Because it's as though he was saying it so long and nobody else was listening. And then I guess he understood, for some reason they understood that I was a believer, a Christian. And so one of the guys, he said, after they got my name, he's like, "We have to talk." He said, "No, no, I don't believe in what you believe, but we have to talk." In other words, he was saying that he was a scientist, and I'm a believer. But he understood that I knew something, and it was revealed to me, and he had to know too. So I was like, fine, I wasn't judging him or anything, because at the end of the day, we both understood what was happening, and It was like if we both came together and put everything together, we could find a solution. And so the dream switched. It was as though I was at the detention center. And I saw these three females. They were of Haitian descent. And they were dancing. At first, they came out dancing and doing their, I guess, their ritual dance. And when they noticed me, they tried to dance normal, like they were just doing regular dance. But I already saw what they were doing. So I walked up to them. And when I reached in front of them, I could see a circle drawn in the ground with a symbol. And then I saw like this doll was in the middle of it with a tree on top of it. The arm was broken off. The leg, one of the arms was broken off, and one of the legs. I right away knew it was witchcraft, so I took it and I cleaned. I kicked off the doll and everything, and the little thing they had drawn on the ground. I became angry, and I took it and I drew the cross. Like, no, this is what we are. You know, represent Jesus, and that is what I drew on the ground where they had their little thing. And of course, you know, one of the females, she became angry, but I didn't care. You know, I was like, this is what we represent. And then when I continued to observe, it was as though the detention center was shut down. But when I looked, I could see heaps of parts. I see the leg, heaps of legs, and heaps of arms of different dolls. I don't know, but I guess whatever they used, but it was a lot. It was a heap of legs and a heap of arm parts. And then the dream switched. I was back to the ship. And when I look at the ship sank even deeper. It was no longer in shallow waters. It sank even deeper because we couldn't see the ship. And it was like persons came to try to pull the ship out. But every time they tried to assist, it's like they got hurt. And so it was the thought was, the more we try to help the ship, we get hurt. And so no one wanted to help, because it was like, if you help them, you get hurt. And so everybody's like, I ain't taking a chance because I don't want to get hurt. And so the ship sank even deeper. And then I could hear the voices coming from the water. And persons were like, oh, that's the voices of the persons who didn't make it, who died in the ship. And then I ended back to the detention center again. And the same thing I saw, the parts of the dolls and the legs, the arm, and it was though the detention center had shut down, but I still could see the same parts and stuff like that. And then I gone back to the ship. I switched over back to the ship. And when I saw the ship, like this time, they was able to pull the ship up. But the ship, it was only like just, I guess, a piece of the skeleton of the ship that was left. And then when the guy, it was on its, I guess it was on its port side. And there was a guy, and he took his leg and he pushed up the piece that was left. As crazy as that sounds, that is what he did, because the ship was no longer in the water. It was like on the ground. And he asked me what I saw. And when I saw the same heaps of parts, like body parts of the doll underneath the ship, that the portion of the ship that he hoisted with his 2 feet. And he said it was witchcraft. And of course I knew it was that too. And so we started to say what it was. And then it was like the dream ended. You know, a lot of things are going on in this nation. And I don't think we understand the magnitude of what the enemy really wants to happen to this Bahamas. The enemy just doesn't want us to go down economically. Like, the enemy is out on to completely to destroy the Bahamas. And as you heard in the dream, he's doing it spiritually. That is where our warfare is. I know we're trying to find out all of the natural ways of how we could fix the solution of what's going on in this country. But the only solution and the only way to fight this our enemy is spiritually, because that is how he is fighting us. You know, all those body parts, that's the amount of sacrifices that was done. And if we don't understand what's going on in this nation, if we don't take what's going on in this nation more seriously and really take this nation up in prayer and really fight spiritually, the enemy is going to destroy us. The enemy is out to cause the Bahamas to go down, and not only just to go down, but even apart from death, economically, in every which way, to make us a wonder to the world, to make us a spectacle. I mean, in the first part of the dream, the persons were in disbelief. They were trying, like, what happened? Like, how did it happen? Like, what's happening to the Bahamas? You know, it was a ship, but it represented the country. And if we don't stop, if we don't slow down, if we don't try to seek God for the solution to this nation, we're going to go down. We're going to sink. And in that dream, someone else predicted it. So apart from the scientific issues that we have, you know, we are low-lying country. Any little too much water, we underwater. And only by the grace of God that we have not sank as yet. But as we can see, even in this nation, we're going deep, lower and lower. And so apart from the natural issues that we have the spiritual issues. So if we have the natural issues, those scientists, then we have the spiritual issues. If we don't find a way to deal with both, this country is going down. And God, he's such a God of all wisdom. Yes, he's a spiritual God, but at the same time, he understands the scientific way. At the same time, he understands the scientific way. He also understands the spiritual way. And they must become one if we're going to win this attack against this nation. And that is what the enemy is using. He understands how we are situated. And so therefore, he's going to use that. He's going to use it to destroy us. He's going to use it. And we have to listen to the voice of God. God is speaking. He's telling us what our problem is. But we don't want to hear a lot of chatter. Everybody's trying to chatter. But no one wants to listen to the voice of God. Sometimes it all depends on who it's coming from. You want to play deaf, oh no, don't listen to him, don't listen to her. You know, sometimes in the big name person who they want it to come through. But we have to get serious about this nation. All of us, y'all who don't believe in Jesus Christ and y'all believe in the science and all of that, even that is your evidence to what will happen to this nation if we don't get it together. So you don't have to believe in Jesus Christ, but the answer is still the answer. And he's still the answer for this nation. And he's still our only hope. Many sacrifices are being done and still being done to destroy this little nation. Trust me, that dream was so intense. I woke up suddenly, you know, in your heart beating. I'm like, oh my God, God help us. God help this Bahamas. I think we are underestimating what's really going on in this nation. Or we want to have that ostrich syndrome where we bury our head in the sand and think that if I act like it don't exist, it'll just go away. No. Trust me, we are in serious times in this nation. And the only person who can help and deliver us is God. But we want God, how much we want God, and when we want God. We want to tell God when he could come in, when he don't come in, when God. No, it don't work like that. God is not our puppet. He's not our puppet. We have to get back as a nation fearing God again. We have to get back as a nation praying again the way we used to pray. We have to become one. Too much disunity, too much fighting, too much big eyes and little you. We can't get it together in the body of Christ. And so because of this, the enemy is winning. He's winning. He's winning. So I just want to share that he was as to hear. Let them hear. I will continue to pray. My husband and I, we will continue to pray. But we are just two. We are just two. We all have to come together as one, as believers, and pray. Pray. When I say one, I talk about spiritually one. We don't have to be in the same church. We don't have to be in the same gathering. But spiritually, we have to come on one accord. We are not there. We are not there. Until we become one, then we will be able to defeat this enemy spiritually. So that's all I want to say. So let's pray for this Bahamas. We have to pray. Serious times are coming. Serious times are coming.